With Father's Day quickly approaching this weekend, generations will gather, of course, to celebrate. But sadly, sometimes there's a huge disconnect with the very old and the very young. This morning, I'm chatting with the creator of Caring Cards, Kathie Nitz, and she created a fun way to get dialogue going across the generations while helping seniors remember days of times past. Thanks so much for being with us, Kathie. These cards are just so unique and it's just a really, really cool concept. Talk a little bit more about them and how the idea came to you.
Well, the idea came to me because I have a mom who has dementia, and so as her dementia progressed, it was more and more challenging to have conversations with her, and sometimes I just didn't have conversation in me.
Right.
And so what happened was I created these to act as a prompt so I could just be her daughter and sit with her and really enjoy my time with her. So they're conversations about all aspects of her life. And it's just wonderful. Now that her dementia has progressed, it was wonderful to be able to have these answers that she gave me back then.
Yeah, they really are. And some of the questions are, when you were growing up, what did you dream that you would do with your life? What kind of pets did you have growing up? And you said this one is your favorite. How do you know if someone loves you?
I do. I love that question because, again, my mom now really can't formulate full thoughts. And when I asked her that, she said, well, that's easy. She said, you feel it. And I said, well, what does it feel like? And she said, it's warm and soft. And that's a response that I'll remember the rest of my life. And they're really not just for people with dementia. They really are for all cognitive abilities. And they really bridge generations through conversations. So, for instance, for Father's Day, when families are getting together.
Right. Because sometimes it is hard. You know, you want to have a conversation with somebody, but you're not sure how to start things, get things going, you know, especially between generations, the old and the young.
Exactly.
They're not sure how to relate.
That's
because of the age difference, but you can always talk about, you know, your pastime or, you know, a certain pet or what you wanted to be when you grow up and what you learned.
That's true. That's true. And especially around holidays when families get together, oftentimes there's that initial flurry of conversation. It's great to see you. We're so excited to have you here. What can we get you? You know, sit down. And then the conversation wanes a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes once you get past the question of the weather.
That's right. Oh, and oftentimes conversations move to custodial. You know, when was your last doctor's appointment? Are you sleeping well? Are you eating? And especially children and teens can often avoid or feel uncomfortable talking to elders, and they're busy with their electronics. So this is an opportunity to put those aside and really to connect on a meaningful level.
I was just going to say, I think sometimes maybe you feel like awkward having an intimate conversation with somebody. It makes you a little bit nervous because we do so heavily rely on our electronics, our smartphones. We're constantly connected through social media, but interpersonal face-to-face has become more difficult, I think, in this day and age.
Absolutely. And these cards, that's what I love about them. Their simplicity, the convenience of them. You can have them in your purse, your pocket, anywhere, and pull them out. And it really, I always liken it to sort of sitting around a campfire at reunions when everybody's sitting together and facing each other. When you have these cards, really relax, slow down, especially if someone has dementia, and then just sit and ask the questions and really listen. We think we know everything about someone because we've been with them their whole lives, but people write me all the time about things they've learned about their family members and have been deeply touched by it. So.
And one thing a lot of people do is when asking someone about the card, they might record that conversation with an older relative, their grandparent, their great-grandmother, you know, just so they have that video, the actual experience of the storytelling, not just your memory of what they said, but actually how they told the story, the expressions on their face, how their eyes lit up.
That's true.
Recalling, you know, their first memory, what they wanted to be when they were younger.
Well, it's priceless. It really is. And, you know, I had somebody that write to me say that they were really kind of skeptical about the cards and wondered really how it would impact it. And then she wrote me and said, I had the best conversation I've had with my mother in years. So you're right. And she was recording it in a journal so she wouldn't forget her mother's responses.
And also, you know, when we think about these cards you mentioned with older people bridging the generation gap, but it's also great to have at the dinner table. You know, I mean, everyone is so crazy at dinner time just trying to get the food on the table. You don't always stop and have a conversation beyond what was your favorite part of the day. You know, but there's always these questions, you know, here that would be great. What sport did you play when you were younger? Kids can ask their parents that. And, you know, when the conversation is a little bit, when you actually have a moment of quiet to,
that's it.
To spark up something new.
Absolutely. It really encourages just sitting together, looking each other eye to eye, appreciating each other, respecting each other, and listening.
Yeah.
Everything's done in little texts and sound bites, and nobody really converses anymore. So it's a great tool to really bring families together, and especially for Father's Day or family reunions during the summer.
Yeah. So what is the best way for people to get the cards?
Well, they can go to caringcards.com on my website, and then there's also a shop in my hometown of Southbury, which is Newbury Place, and they also carry them.
All right, Kathie, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Great idea.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Coming up next year on Morning Extra this Thursday, 20 years after a crime and trial many will never forget. We're talking about the death of O.J. Simpson's ex-wife and her friend just ahead. Plus, Java Talk is coming up with the Current's Marianne Philo. Ideas on things to do this weekend. Stay with us.